There needs to be a strong alternative argument or alternative narrative to the MAGA movement.
Not only am I not voting for Donald Trump, but I will be voting for Kamala Harris.
Obviously, I wish the election would have gone a different way.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel where we discuss all things news and politics. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell to stay updated when I release new videos. I have one question for you. Why does the Republican Party fail time and time again? Well, it can't be narrowed down to just one reason. It's complicated, but part of the reason is how the left operates. When the left wants something, they don't stop trying until they get it. In 2016, Republicans took not just the presidency, but also the House and the Senate. To break it down for you, Republicans won 241 House seats and 52 Senate seats. This would have been the perfect time to get things done, but the Republican Party is so incompetent they got pretty much nothing done. Anytime Democrats get power, they ram whatever bills they can through, but the Republicans can't do it because many of them are weak-kneed. Republicans could have definitely gotten more House seats if they fought against the horrible gerrymandering. For more information, check out this video by Real American in the description. Another reason why the Republicans fail so hard is because of the party split between the MAGA movement and the neocons. And this actually ties into the previous reason. The Republican Party is split between the MAGA movement and the neocons, which makes working together hard. It's kinda hard to get anything done when we're fighting each other. By the way, I am in no way saying we should push neocon views. In fact, I'm saying the opposite. The last time Republicans won the popular vote before Trump was 2004, and before that it was 1988. Putting a neocon up for election is clearly not the winning strategy. So what makes Trump different? He couldn't even win the popular vote in 2016. Well, to be fair, his 2016 campaign was based on working with a lot of neocons. After all, he had Nikki Haley as his Secretary of State. But let's dive further into this. Liz Cheney is a great example. She is one of the few Republicans that led a resistance towards the MAGA movement, as well as Adam Kinzinger. But can we really call Liz Cheney a Republican? She endorsed Kamala Harris a few months ago, who was arguably the most radical left politician we've ever had in office. Moving on to Dan Crenshaw. He isn't exactly the best congressman when it comes to the MAGA movement. There have been times when he spews out one thing and then votes against whatever he just spoke for. On top of that, he's been one of the politicians to profit the most from insider trading. I wish I knew more about him, but from what I do know, he seems kind of swampy. In fact, here he says there is no Republican establishment.
We need to be very clear about something. The Democrat Party does indeed have an establishment. You are correct about that. Nancy Pelosi orchestrated the downfall of Biden. That establishment orchestrated the insertion of Kamala Harris without any vote whatsoever. That's all true. But you cannot tell me there's an establishment in the Republican Party. There simply isn't. There hasn't been for a very long time. I'll do a quick thought experiment and prove it. Well, I'll do a quick thought experiment and prove it to you. Stop laughing. It's annoying. So here's the thought experiment. I'm running in my primary.
You're it. Look at the mirror.
There very clearly is a Republican establishment, and I think Dan Crenshaw is part of it. Want proof there's a Republican establishment? Look no further than Mitch McConnell. He recently was working behind the scenes to sabotage Trump's agenda by electing John Thune as Senate Majority Leader, when it was very clear that Rick Scott was the right choice. I'd actually argue McConnell is the face of the Republican establishment, and it sucks that this guy holds that much power. Let me remind you that this is the guy that pretty much calls the shots.
Bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Wait a minute. Are you good, Mitch?
Okay, Mitch.
Just checking.
Anything else you want to say, or should we just go back to your office? Do you want to say anything else to the press?
Go ahead, John.
The fact that he has this much control should scare every American. He needs to be voted out in 2026 and be forced to retire because he's clearly not fit to serve. The final person I'd like to discuss is Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham started to gain popularity in 2018 when he defended Brett Kavanaugh and was very involved in Trump's 2020 campaign, which just so happens to be the same year he was up for re-election. Afterwards, though, he kind of dropped off. Now he's starting to poke his head out again and is asking Republicans in the House and Senate to go forward with Trump's agenda. It seems like he only ever tries to do anything when he's up for re-election so he can ride Trump's coattails. Overall, the Republican congressmen and senators are made up of people who are either fighting against the MAGA movement or are people who don't bother doing anything unless it benefits them. Let's move on to reason 3, local politics. This is possibly where you can make the biggest difference. Getting involved in local politics may not seem like much, but it's a lot easier to get anywhere in local politics than it is on a large scale. If you manage to change your world, you can change the whole world. I definitely urge everyone watching to get involved. You'd be surprised just how much of a difference you can make. But let's get into possibly the biggest reason why Republicans keep failing: the hate towards the younger generations. I got into politics at a pretty young age, probably around 13 or 14. At that time, the Republican Party was constantly putting down millennials, and for a while I was doing the same. But almost overnight, all that hate Republicans were giving to millennials started to shift towards Gen Z. And I'll be the first to tell you, doing this is not a winning strategy. All you're doing is alienating one of the biggest demographics, and even if they don't particularly like the left, they will despise the right because they see the right as those working against them and see the left as those on their side. But there is good news in all this. Trump started to actually reach out towards younger voters this election and made massive gains. He won the Gen Z male vote and even improved with all young voters as a whole. Even people like Charlie Kirk and Vivek Ramaswamy reached out towards Gen Z this election and are showing that the Republican Party isn't just the party of the older generation, but is the party of the American people. Listen here as Charlie Kirk and Megyn Kelly discuss Trump's gains with young voters.
I mean, truly, you're one of a handful of 5 that really made the difference. And we need look no further than the youth vote. That wasn't the exclusive reign of your influence, but man, when have young people come out for the Republican? I mean, like never. And especially in today's day and age where he's been totally demonized all over TikTok and the sources of information that they use. But you reached billions. I mean, obviously there's not that many people voting in this election, but I mean, the number of views of your videos going out onto these college campuses, challenging them, saying, go ahead, like, why are you voting for her? Let's walk through it. That would go viral every time.
We'd be lucky to get like 100 people and a lot of protesters, right? We drew 2,000 people in Madison as our first one in September. And I turned to my team and I said, is this an anomaly? Is there something happening at Madison that I don't know? And all of a sudden we did 3 or 4 more and it was becoming the rule. And I said to my team, I said, guys, something is happening on these campuses. And the media was ignoring it. In fact, we were mocked on social media by all the intelligentsia of the political establishment, right? And the left saying, oh, the polls show that younger voters are going to go for Kamala than ever before. And I said, well, maybe. But what I'm seeing is unlike anything I've ever seen before. And not only that, Megyn, our ground game and our ground team was registering these kids to vote. We were getting thousands and thousands of these first-time voters. So it wasn't just like, okay, let's put on a show and we leave. We were translating the support into votes, which is kind of was the operating thesis. It was our theory of the case, if you will, as we were going into this. And then finally, as a kicker, we had Mark McKinnon go to one of our campus stops, who's a fair guy, but he's definitely not a Trumper, and he was a Bush guy. No. He did the circus. And I've always had respect for him. And he started to see this stuff on social media. And to his credit, unlike anybody else, he's like, I need to see this. He was almost like, I don't believe it. So he went to the University of Georgia and we drew 5,000 people, Megyn, 5,000 people at the University of Georgia. And he went and he was like, I said that Kamala was going to win, but now I'm second guessing myself based on what he saw. I was like, yeah, Mark, I mean, there's something happening here. And now the exit polls, we won the youth vote in Michigan. We almost won it in Wisconsin. In Pennsylvania, we don't know, but we almost flipped Center County, which is Penn State. We got within 1 point of it, which usually it's a 20-point Democrat victory there. And we went to Penn State and did a massive event. We did 5 events in Penn State, by the way, this cycle for obvious reasons. And it's tempting to say that it was a landslide, which it was. However, let me kind of humble the audience a little bit. Donald Trump won by less than a point in Wisconsin, about 28,000 votes. He won by a point-ish, 1.2 in Michigan. And then he won by 1 point in Pennsylvania. And so, Megyn, it is conceivable that without this record movement of youth vote, he doesn't win. And I'm not saying that because I'm, in that space, but We're talking about 1.5 points across 3 states. Now, the Sun Belt states were more generous and were more decisive. But as you know, everyone was saying if you can't win a Rust Belt state, Kamala is president. So you could say that the kids are all right and the kids put Donald Trump back in the White House.
It's incredible. I mean, no one's really paid that much attention to them before. It's one of those things where Republicans have always assumed they're not gettable.
The gains were massive, and it's pretty simple why. They showed young people that they aren't just another vote to the Republican Party. If you want to improve with the black population, the Hispanic population, or any other demographic, you need to show them that you'll make their life better and not just treat them like another vote, which is what the Republican Party has done in the past. I'm happy to see this come to an end, and I hope Republicans continue to reach out like this. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm doing my best to improve these videos, so any suggestions would help. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.